Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage, and today we're going to be having a look at Ethereum. We're going to be discussing what we think is going on and where we think this is going. So let's get into the charts and see what is up. We're still looking for that potential, that we were looking for. Either this is an A, B, and a C to the upside here, or alternatively, this was a 1-2, and we're looking for that potential to form another 1-2 here. The problem is the structure towards the top end of this move is starting to get quite choppy now. And we are starting to come back down and starting to target out some of those key areas we were talking about. So we're going to discuss that in depth in a bit. But what we're looking out for is the potential whether we're actually setting up a series of 1s and 2s here, looking to progress up for this area to this area of this 2994 area. So that would be looking at this as basically a 1-2 bigger third wave still in the making. The problem is the way that the current structure is forming here is, it would become more likely actually that we are looking for a bigger push to the upside if that does actually end up playing out just by the way that the structure is internally here. It would indicate that potentially, it would be looking to break higher than these levels. So we need to just be aware as well, though, if this is just a corrective structure to the upside as an A, a B, and a C, then potentially we have come up enough that this could be seen as a completed move. We've almost hit this 1-to-1. So technically speaking, it's done everything it needs to complete this structure to the upside. The problem is that the internals are not very good within this if we are looking at this as a impulse to the upside or a C wave to the upside. So just being a little bit cautious that this isn't completed. Obviously, we're going to talk about some key levels that would invalidate these things. One of the things that we talked about previously as well was the potential that from further back here, we could have had this as a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. So there was two ways we were looking at this, either as having a flat correction here for wave 1, for wave 2, in which case our wave 1 completes here, and this didn't cross. But the fact we came down so deep, um, it just doesn't really fit into the count that great. I wouldn't like to have seen this as a fourth being so deep. The alternative way we can argue is that we have potential 5-wave structure here. This is a 2, this is a 3, fourth wave that does overlap this one, and now we're forming this as a bigger fifth wave to the upside. So this would then put us in that scenario where we would have potentially expanding diagonal here. Now these aren't very common, so this is not my favorite interpretation of it, but we need to just be open to the idea that we could see something like this play out. So what this would need for confirmation is basically to see the support zone come back and get tested lower down here. What I'd be looking for that is actually this lower blue one. So these are our support zones that I'm looking for continuation here. So that's either if we've completed this as a complete move here, looking for wave 2 or B wave, and then looking to continue up. So we can see quite interestingly, this 0.618 sits on this trend line as well that we are currently following to the upside. So it would be interesting to see if we do actually come back and retest this zone. Alternatively, depending on how long this takes, the 1506 would be that 786. Don't really want to lose this 1506, and if we cross this 1368, that would invalidate the potential of this being able to extend to the upside. However, if we want to treat this whole move as a single structure, what we could then find is that we find support lower down here. So this would also be interesting because it would be looking to come back and retest this bottom channel line, which is just drawn off of these two lows here. So that would actually be lower down here towards this, between this 1517 to this 1246. So this is something we need to be just looking out for if we do start to break down in a deeper way here. So this is what I'm just keeping an eye on the bigger picture. Okay, so with ETH, it's in slightly a better position than BTC is structure-wise. We're talking about potentially still looking for this as a 1-2-1-2 here. The thing is, I'm going to go over this key zone here. This would then mean that we'd have to treat this as, from this point here, either as a diagonal in itself, where this all becomes a wave 1. We're looking for a wave 2, and that would look something like this. So we're going to go over that now. It would rather not be that one. So that would look like this. And basically what we'd have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as a expanding diagonal once again. But these are, like I said, not very common. The key zone to hold as a support for this would be this 1898 to the 1773. What I would be anticipating here is basically to see this move complete here to the downside, see a move back to the upside, and then see another move down. I wouldn't expect this to come and just drop straight into here and reverse. If it did, we'd have to argue that there's something else going on internally within the structure because it is looking like a five-wave move currently. So what I'm looking out for is basically to see where when we complete this move down here, if it is above the zone of the 1686, what I want to see is whether we get three-wave move back to the upside and look for continuation and rejection to come back down one more time. So 1773 would be invalidating this, and this would then really start to put, a lot of strain on the potential of counting this as an impulse any further from this point, because from there, we would possibly just have a three-wave structure up here. The internals wouldn't really fit nicely anymore, and I can't see a way of counting this at the moment that would make this a fifth wave. I mean, we could potentially argue that we have something like this one, two, three, four, but the thing is within this would actually be made up of five-wave structures. So this would actually tie into that idea of this being a beginning structure, whether this is an A wave or a wave one. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to just see how we react here. Okay, so the other way we were talking about this is that, technically speaking, it hasn't invalidated this possibility either. We're looking at this as a one and a two, but we've come down really deep here. Um, we haven't crossed the 0.786, which is sitting here at this 1887. I want to see if we do come down into this level and whether this holds. If we do hold this, there is potential here that, we could see this have a direct push to the upside, but I would still be cautious of the fact that we could see rejection come in towards this 2086 to this 2016 area. And that would be looking at this move basically just being a three-wave move, which then rejects to the upside. If, however, we find a rejection here, we can then argue one, two, three, four, and then it does look like we're forming some kind of a diagonal here, to be honest with you. I'm just monitoring this. If that was the case, we'd have this as one, two, three, four, and then potentially we have one more low to come here. I wouldn't be expecting this to drop if that is the case and we're forming a diagonal past this line here at, let me just throw this on here, 1 second, at this 1876. If we break down past this 1876 area, that would invalidate the idea of a diagonal here, and rather then we'd have to be on the lookout that we have, more impulsive structure forming here. So we're going to go over the internals of this wave in a second. But the key thing here is if we do hold this 1826, potentially we can still look for continuation to the upside. And what this would then mean is we'd be looking for that potential to actually have a bigger move up towards this zone of this 2509. And that would then look for this third wave to be in play, fourth and a fifth. But this would then move all these internal waves up here where we have a series of ones and twos here, in which case, we'd see some continuation within these fourths and fifths higher up here, which would then tie into the idea that from further back here, we have a one, two, all of this would then become a third wave, fourth and a fifth. Then we'd get another fourth and a fifth to complete this structure from over here. So these things are still viable, but the way the nature of the move down is making this unlikely at this point. But really, until we actually invalidate, we can still look for that potential to actually turn around. So that's what we've got to be careful of within this. So the breakdown that I'm looking at is something like this. So from further back here, so once again, it's possible within these structures that we have an extension, and potentially we could argue that within this whole move could actually still be this fifth wave here, where this becomes one, two, three, we form another zigzag up here, four and a five, and then from that point we'd still have a fourth wave to the upside to come, and that would be this yellow fourth wave here. If we are actually completed here, as a fifth into this low, what we could have is that this fourth wave could be in play, and this could be forming something like a flat correction. If this is a flat correction in this area, what we'd be looking for is basically to see a five-wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, something like this. And we'd be looking to target out this 2021 to this 1969 area. If we do break up to the upside in a five-wave move, this would then potentially be this fourth wave here, but we'd only get confirmation of that if we take the low again. If we take the low again, what I'd be then looking for is basically the potential to come down deeper here towards this zone of this 1872 to this 1832 area. We've got to be careful though within the structure here that we don't have extension, because we could be starting to extend out here. And what we could have is that, potentially this is a 1, 2 here. We have another 1 here. We form a wave 2, and then we have a bigger structure down. We don't have anything indicating that at the moment, but these things can always happen. So we need to just be careful. Either that or, this could be 1, 2, 3. This is a fourth, and then wave 5 is starting to extend. So if we do break down and we break through this, we break down past this 1842 area, it's possible that we could see further extension coming, where this would become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would then become another 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, and then possibly from further back here, we could even have, additional fourths and fifths, which would look to actually push us down much deeper into the zone. The reason why I'm currently looking to see whether we actually have a low in place here is we've actually come down to 2.618 of this wave 1 currently. So this could be a zone where, we look to actually complete and then we get a reversal to the upside, in which case we would have to then argue that, potentially this fourth wave is over here and we're finishing off this fifth wave. Now, I would still like to see one more drop here for just better structure, where this then becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get a fifth, some as a diagonal here. So that's what I'd be looking out for. If we break out of this trend line here, then potentially we have a chance to rally, but I'd still be careful of this 2021 to this 1969. If we are looking for the potential to turn around from this point, what we want to see is basically this form a 1, 2 here. Then we want to see 3, 4, 5 to the upside. We want to come back down, potentially come and retest some of these areas here, find support above it, and then look to progress to the upside. So we don't have, that much structure to work off of here if we're looking for that as a bullish option, but we need to be very careful because these moves can just extend out, and it is possible that even if our fourth wave is completed here, this could then just become a bigger wave 1 here. This is 1, this is 2. We're still within a wave 3, so it would look something like this, where basically this is 1, 2. We'd be looking for this bigger wave 3 to the downside here. We'll get a fourth and then a fifth, and this would actually look to take us down lower here. And we'd have to obviously see exactly where that comes into, but it would be interesting to see if we manage to hold this 1829 area. This is obviously quite an important level here. We've had a lot of support and resistance on this. If we come back and retest it, it'll be interesting to see where we find further resistance. I mean support. Sorry. What we need to be aware of is any moves to the upside that happen in a three-wave structure that fail to break above this 2086 could indicate continuation to the downside. And then, now once that sort of thing starts happening, we need to start being on the lookout for a potential move down towards those key support zones that we have lower down here, which would be these areas here of this 1805 to this 1506. Obviously, we've got some levels here that are interesting. The 50% would be at the 1712, which would be a retest of the support resistance zone. And then if we start to lose 1506, that potential count starts to crumble a little bit. It doesn't invalidate really until we cross 1368, but we need to start questioning things at this point, because if we do start breaking down below that, either we have to treat this as a single move to the upside here, where this is a wave 1. We're looking for a wave 2 that could come back test this lower range. But if we lose 1246, it becomes more likely that, we've completed a correction up here. And we could be looking for some of these lower targets either towards this 723 to this 523 area, or even lower towards this $400 zone. So yeah, we just need to be a little bit careful within the structures that are developing, because once we start to develop five-wave moves down, we have to always be careful that they don't extend out. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. As well as that, you'll find affiliate links for both PrimeXBT and BYBIT down there. Both great exchanges we use on a regular basis. If you don't have an account, using the affiliate link does help support the channel, and we do appreciate it. Everyone, have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.